You see, most of us have been taught to think of love as something that happens to us, something that strikes like lightning, something that sweeps us away, and something that we must hold on to before it fades. And because we think of it this way, we begin to chase it as if it were a prize, something outside ourselves, something to possess. But love, you see, is not a possession. It's not an object, nor is it a contract between two frightened beings trying to escape loneliness. It is a movement, a vibration, a momentary recognition that two people are the same thing, expressions of the same mystery. The trouble is, once we try to hold it, it dies, because the very act of holding turns it into something fixed. And love was never meant to be fixed. You cannot nail a wave to the shore, and you cannot capture love in permanence. You can only dance with it, flow with it, and allow it to be what it is: fleeting, beautiful, and alive. When people fall in love, they often mistake that feeling for security. They say, "Now that I've found you, I am safe." But in truth, love is not safety. It is vulnerability. It is the willingness to be exposed, to be uncertain, to stand on the edge of the unknown and say, yes. And yet, we fear that. So we try to turn love into an arrangement. We give it names. We sign papers. We set rules. We build walls. And in doing so, we smother the very thing that gave it life, the freedom to be unpredictable. And this is why, sooner or later, romantic love disappoints us, because it cannot satisfy the expectation we place upon it. We want it to complete us, to save us, to fill the emptiness we feel inside. But no other person can do that for you. The truth is, the love we seek from others is a reflection of the love we have not found within ourselves. We long for someone to see us, to understand us, to make us whole. But the moment we make another person responsible for our happiness, we begin to fear losing them. And that fear poisons the very love we wanted to protect. Romantic love fails not because it is false, but because it is misunderstood. We try to make it eternal when it is meant to be a mirror, to show us the parts of ourselves we've ignored, to reveal our insecurities, our desires, our illusions. And when the mirror breaks, we think love has ended. But it has simply done its job. It has shown us who we are. So, instead of asking why love ends, we should ask, what has love revealed? Love is not about merging into one being, as people romantically imagine. It is about two beings standing side by side, deeply aware of their own individuality, yet connected by the recognition that they are part of the same flow. When you love someone truly, you don't cling. You don't demand. You don't seek to possess. You simply enjoy the presence of that person as you would enjoy a sunset or a song, knowing it will pass, but finding beauty in the passing. And when it does pass, when it changes, as all things do, you don't curse it. You bow to it, because what you loved was never the person, but the moment, the feeling, the connection that reminded you of your own aliveness. But most of us don't want love. We want control. We want to trap the butterfly instead of watching it fly. And so we become miserable when it dies in our hands. To love truly is to let go of the idea that it must last forever. Permanence is not the proof of love. Presence is. The tragedy of modern romance is that we confuse excitement with connection and attachment with affection. We mistake the thrill of novelty for depth. But love, real love, begins when the thrill fades. When you see the person as they are and still choose to be kind. Disappointment enters only when expectation enters. You are disappointed because you expected love to be something it was never meant to be. A guarantee, a shelter, a cure for loneliness. But loneliness itself is not a disease. It is a signal. It tells you that you are not yet at home within yourself. And until you make peace with that, no love will satisfy you. The irony is, once you stop demanding that love make you whole, you finally become capable of real love. Because now, you are no longer seeking to get something. You are simply giving, not out of need, but out of abundance. And then, love ceases to disappoint. It becomes play. It becomes art. It becomes music. So, if you wish to love, let it be like breathing, natural, effortless, without demand. Let it come and go. Let it change shape. Let it be free. And when it ends, do not mourn that it is gone. Smile that it was ever here. Because the beauty of love lies not in its duration, but in its depth. And those who have truly loved, even once, have touched eternity, if only for a moment. Love is not possession. It cannot be owned, controlled, or made permanent. The moment you try, it begins to fade. This is the tragedy of human desire. We see something beautiful, something alive, and instead of admiring it, we want to keep it. We want to trap it in our hands so it never leaves. But love was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be the wind that moves through you, not the air you bottle up and hide away. Think of the times you've held a flower too tightly, its petals bruised, its beauty vanished, not because it was weak, but because your grasp was too strong. That's what we do in relationships. We meet someone who brings light into our world, and instead of basking in that light, we try to make it ours. We start saying things like, "You belong to me. You're mine. Don't leave me." And beneath those words, there's fear. The fear of losing control, the fear of being alone again. But love and control cannot coexist. Love is wild. It breathes only when it's free. Most people don't fall in love. They fall into ownership. They confuse attachment with affection. They start building fences around someone's heart, hoping it will keep them safe inside. But every fence is also a wall that blocks the view. You stop seeing the person as they are and start seeing them as something you must maintain, protect, or fix. The spontaneous magic that brought you together begins to wither under the weight of rules and expectations. In daily life, you can see this everywhere. Couples who were once full of laughter now argue about tiny things. Who texted first? Who looked at someone else? Who didn't reply fast enough? They turn moments of connection into battles of control. Love turns into a checklist, a report card. We start measuring loyalty in messages, measuring care in constant proof. And without even realizing it, we stop loving the person, start managing them. But love, real love, doesn't need management. It needs presence. It's like holding water in your hands. The tighter you close your fingers, the faster it slips away. The only way to keep it is to keep your palms open. The beauty of love lies in its uncertainty. That's what makes it alive. When you watch a sunset, you don't demand it to last all night. You enjoy it precisely because you know it will fade. When you listen to a song, you don't tell the music to never end. You let it flow, you feel it, and you let the silence that follows remind you of its beauty. Love is the same. It's the art of embracing something without needing to own it. The world tells you that possession equals security, that if you own something, it can't hurt you, it can't leave you. But what a dull kind of love that is. One based on fear, not freedom. Imagine if you tried to keep a bird by locking it in a cage. Yes, it's yours now. But it no longer sings. It no longer soars. It's alive, but not living. And that's what we do to people when we try to possess them. We silence their song. There is nothing more beautiful than watching someone you love grow, change, explore, and even drift away when they must, because that's what love really is, wishing the best for someone, even when it doesn't include you. It's letting them walk their path without trying to redirect it toward your own. You see, love asks for courage. The courage to let go when every part of you wants to hold on. The courage to trust that what's real doesn't need to be changed. When you truly love someone, you don't say, be mine. You say, be free. Because if they choose to stay, then you know it's real. And that's the secret. Freedom strengthens love. Possession destroys it. Think about the people in your life who made you feel alive. Was it because they stayed under your control, or because they gave you space to breathe, to be yourself, to exist without demand, when you felt accepted, not managed? That was love. When you let someone love you, you are not giving them ownership, you are giving them trust. And trust is far stronger than possession. Trust says, I don't need to watch you every moment. I don't need to own your choices. I believe in the bond we share. And ironically, when love is free, it lasts longer. Because it's not forced, it's chosen. Possession makes you anxious. You start checking their phone, their tone, their habits. Your peace depends on their behavior. But freedom brings peace. It says, I love you as you are, and I release you if you must go. And in that release, you find something astonishing. Love begins to breathe again. We are terrified of losing love, but what we really lose is control. And that's a good thing, because control is heavy, exhausting. Love, when true, is light. It doesn't bind, it expands. It teaches you that you can adore someone without needing to define them. If you ever loved someone deeply and lost them, you know this truth. Even after they're gone, something remains. Their laughter, their lessons, their touch upon your soul. That's proof that love never belonged to you. It passed through you, changed you, and moved on. And that's what makes it eternal. The moment you stop trying to own love, you begin to experience it in its purest form. A presence that fills you without demanding anything back. It becomes a gift, not a contract. And every moment of it, no matter how brief, becomes infinite while it lasts. Love reflects the self. Romantic love reveals your inner state. It mirrors your insecurities and your unhealed places. Most people don't fall in love with another person. They fall in love with the reflection of themselves they see in that person's eyes. And that's why love feels so intoxicating at first. It's like standing before a mirror that finally shows you who you wish to be: beautiful, worthy, desired. You feel seen. You feel alive. But as time passes, that same mirror begins to show something else. It begins to reveal your fears, your doubts, your hidden wounds. And that's when most people say, love has changed. No, love didn't change. The mirror just started to show you the parts you've been avoiding. Every person you fall for is a reflection of where you are in your own journey. If you're lost, you'll be drawn to someone who seems certain. If you're insecure, you'll crave someone who makes you feel special. If you haven't healed, you'll chase someone who stirs the same old pain. Love is not just romance. It's a teacher, a mirror that shows you your emotional truth. Imagine this. You meet someone and everything feels perfect. Your heart races, time slows, your mind dances with possibility. For a while, they are the answer to everything you thought was missing in your life. But soon, small things begin to trigger you. The tone of their voice, the way they forget small details, the times they pull away when you need closeness. Suddenly, love feels uncertain, and you start to panic. You tell yourself they've changed, that they don't care. But if you look closely, what's really happening is this. Love has touched your rawest place, the place inside you that still believes you're not enough, that still fears being abandoned. Every argument, every misunderstanding, every disappointment is a reflection of something unhealed within. The jealousy, the control, the constant need for validation. All of it is a cry from the part of you that still feels unseen. Love didn't create those wounds, it revealed them. Think about it. When someone doesn't text you back right away, why does it hurt so deeply? It's not the message that matters. It's what your mind attaches to it. You start telling yourself stories. Maybe they don't care. Maybe I'm not important. But that voice existed long before that person. Love simply gave it a stage to speak. That's why real love, the kind that transforms you, is never just about pleasure. It's about awareness. It asks you to face yourself. It holds up the mirror and says, look. And most people don't want to. They run from relationship to relationship, hoping to find someone who will fix the reflection. But no one can, because the reflection isn't the problem. It's the viewer. You see the person you're drawn to often mirrors the part of you that you're trying to understand. If you're drawn to someone emotionally unavailable, maybe it's because you've been unavailable to your own emotions. If you keep attracting people who disrespect you, maybe you've forgotten your own worth. Love is never random. It's the universe's most personal form of therapy. In daily life, it's easy to see this pattern. The friend who always ends up with selfish partners usually struggles with guilt about asking for what they need. The person who fears rejection often falls for those who give affection and then pull away, not because they want the pain, but because they're unconsciously trying to rewrite an old story to finally win the love they never received before. And when they fail again, they think, why do I always attract the wrong people? But there are no wrong people. Only mirrors showing you what you haven't healed yet. When you start to see love this way, everything changes. You stop blaming others for your pain, and you start using every relationship as a doorway into self-understanding. You begin to realize that every heartbreak was not a punishment. It was a message. Every rejection was showing you where you were still rejecting yourself. Love is the greatest teacher because it breaks the illusion of separation. When someone loves you, they see you, not your mask, not your performance, but the raw, real you. And that can be terrifying because it means you can no longer hide behind who you pretend to be. The first time someone looks into your soul and still stays, you feel reborn. But the first time someone leaves, after seeing your darkness, you feel destroyed. Both experiences are mirrors. One shows you your beauty, the other your fear. Both are love. People think love hurts because it ends. But love hurts because it reveals. It digs deep into your hidden self and pulls out what you tried to bury. It forces you to face the parts of you that whisper, I am not enough. And when you face them, when you sit with them, you grow. This is why the most painful loves often become the most transformative. They break you open, and in that breaking, you begin to see your own reflection clearly. You start to understand what you truly need, what you truly value, what you must heal. Love reflects the self. not to shame you, but to awaken you. It says, look how far you've come, and look how much more you can become. Every person you've ever loved has played a role in showing you something about yourself. Your tenderness, your fear, your capacity to forgive, your ability to endure. So when love hurts, don't rush to close the mirror. Look deeper. Because behind every tear, there's truth. Behind every heartbreak, there's a lesson waiting to be understood. And that lesson is always this: love is never outside you. It's been within you all along, waiting for you to see yourself clearly. True love is freedom. It thrives only when both people allow each other to be fully themselves without attachment or control. Most people think love means holding on. But real love is about letting be. It's about standing beside someone, not standing over them. It's not about saying, you are mine. It's about saying, you are free, and I choose you still. That is the rarest kind of love. The one that doesn't cage, doesn't control, and doesn't demand. When two people come together, there's always a temptation to shape each other, to mold the other person into what feels comfortable. We say we love someone, but often what we really love is how they make us feel. And so we start to adjust them slowly, quietly. Don't talk to them. Don't go there. At first, it sounds like care. But care that restricts is not love. It's fear disguised as affection. Look around in daily life. You'll see this pattern everywhere. Couples who once laughed freely now walk on eggshells around each other. Friends who once inspired each other now compete and compare. Love begins as expansion, two souls meeting in awe, and ends as contraction when freedom disappears. The energy that once connected them now suffocates them because one or both forgot that love cannot survive without space. Think of a garden. If you plant two trees too close, they'll compete for sunlight, for water, for space to grow. But if you give them distance, their roots deepen, their branches widen, and their presence becomes a shared beauty, not a struggle. Love is the same. If you want someone to grow beside you, you must give them room to breathe, room to fail, room to dream. People often say, I can't lose them, I need them. But that isn't love, that's dependency. Love doesn't need, it chooses. When you truly love someone, you don't need them to complete you because you are already whole. You share yourself, not your emptiness. And that sharing creates a bond that doesn't demand constant proof because it's grounded in trust. Imagine this. A man loves a woman deeply, but he's terrified she might leave him. So he checks her phone, questions her friends, limits her world in small, subtle ways. He calls it protection. But what he's really doing is strangling the very thing he loves. The moment love becomes about control, it starts to die. And when it dies, he blames her, not realizing it was his fear that killed it. Freedom is love's oxygen. Without it, love suffocates. To love someone in freedom means you allow them to have their own sky. You allow them to have dreams that don't include you, moments that don't revolve around you, and growth that might even take them away from you for a while. It's not weakness to let them go out into the world. It's the highest strength, because when they return, they come not out of duty, but out of choice. There's something powerful about knowing you could control someone, but choosing not to. That restraint, that trust, is love in its purest form. It's like holding a bird in your hands. The tighter you grip, the faster it dies. But when you open your palms, it stays, not because it has to, but because it wants to. The people who love freely love deeply, because their love isn't about power. It's about presence. They don't say, I need you to be happy. They say, I want you to be happy even if it's not with me. And that kind of love, though rare, transforms both souls involved. In daily life, true love shows itself in the smallest gestures. The parent who lets their child choose their own path, even if it's uncertain. The friend who celebrates your success, even when they're struggling. The partner who says, go chase that dream. I'll be right here when you return. These are moments of quiet greatness. Love that doesn't cling, but believes. Most people are afraid that giving freedom means losing love. But the truth is the opposite. Only in freedom can love grow. Control creates obedience, not affection. Fear creates silence, not connection. When you let someone be, you tell them, I see you as your own person, and I still choose to share my world with you. That's not just romantic, that's sacred. You can tell when love is free. It feels light. It feels peaceful. It doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't make you check your worth every morning. It doesn't make you shrink yourself just to keep someone close. Free love says, be exactly who you are, and I'll meet you there. And yes, sometimes that freedom means they might walk away. But if love cannot survive freedom, it was never love, it was attachment. And attachment always disguises itself as devotion, but it's built on fear. In every relationship, there comes a moment when you must decide whether to tighten your grip or open your hand. That moment defines not just your relationship, but your understanding of love itself. Will you try to possess, or will you choose to trust? Because in trust, there is real intimacy, the kind that doesn't demand but invites. You see, love is not about two people merging into one. That's a beautiful fantasy. But the truth is, even in love, you remain two separate worlds sharing a bridge. The bridge stands only when both sides are strong enough to hold it. And that strength comes from individuality, from freedom. The irony of love is that when you stop trying to keep someone, they often stay longer because they feel safe, not trapped. They feel seen, not owned. That safety, the kind that comes from knowing you're free, is what makes love last without effort. So, love without fear, give without demanding, hold without gripping. Let people breathe, let them change, let them be. Because the moment you allow someone to fully be themselves, you give them the most powerful gift on earth, the gift of freedom inside love. Expectation creates disappointment. Love fails when we demand it to make us whole or to never change. It's strange how we enter relationships believing someone else will heal us, fix us, complete us. We tell ourselves, if I find the right person, everything will fall into place. But love isn't meant to complete you. It's meant to mirror you. And when you burden another person with the task of filling your emptiness, you're not really loving them. You're using them as a bandage for your wounds. Expectation is the silent killer of every beautiful thing. It begins small. A text not replied to fast enough. A word that didn't sound as warm as yesterday. And slowly, you start measuring love like a contract. If they love me, they'll do this. If they care, they'll say that. But love is not an equation. It's not predictable. The more rules you attach to it, the more lifeless it becomes. Imagine standing before a sunrise, and instead of watching it, you start complaining that it isn't as bright as yesterday. You miss the beauty because you're too busy comparing. That's what expectation does. It blinds you to the present. It turns a living connection into a checklist of disappointments. In daily life, you see this everywhere. A man expects his partner to constantly reassure him, to always understand his moods, to read his mind. When he's distant, and when she doesn't, he says, "You've changed." But it isn't change that hurts him. It's the collapse of his expectation. He thought love meant constant attention, endless validation. But love cannot be proof. It must be presence. A woman gives everything to someone and expects them to give back in the same way, with the same intensity. But people love differently. One might show love through words, another through silence, another through action. When we expect love to appear in one form only, we miss all the other ways it's being offered to us. The truth is, love never disappoints. People's ideas about love do. We imagine love as this steady, unchanging light that must never flicker. But everything alive flickers. Everything alive changes. Even the ocean never waves the same way twice. Love is like that. Sometimes calm, sometimes wild, but always moving. Expectation says, you must stay the same. Love says, you may grow and I will still see you. The more we try to hold love still, the more it slips through our fingers. We are taught to chase perfection, the perfect partner, the perfect story, the perfect ending. But perfection doesn't exist in love, only truth does. And truth is messy. Truth argues, cries, forgives, learns, and begins again. Think about how much pain comes from the word should. They should have called. They should have remembered. They should have understood. That word alone destroys peace, because it assumes that people exist to meet our expectations, not to live their own truth. In the early days of love, we don't see people as they are. We see them as the idea we've built in our minds. And as time passes, when they start revealing their flaws, we feel betrayed. But they haven't betrayed us. Reality has simply arrived. Expectation makes you fall in love with an illusion, not a person. You've seen this in friendships too. You do something kind for someone and silently expect the same in return. When they don't match your energy, you feel hurt. But what if they never promised to? What if your kindness was meant to be given freely, not traded like currency? Love given with expectation isn't love. It's negotiation. The greatest peace you will ever feel in love comes when you drop the weight of should. When you stop expecting someone to behave a certain way, you begin to truly see them. And when you see them as they are, imperfect, evolving, human, that's when compassion appears. Expectation creates a false sense of control. It makes you believe that if someone meets your standards, you'll be safe from pain. But love doesn't work like that. Pain will come, not to destroy you, but to shape you, to remind you that love is not about avoiding suffering, but growing through it. When you expect love to never change, you miss the beauty of its seasons. There are moments when love feels like summer, warm, effortless, alive. And there are times when it feels like winter, distant, cold, quiet. But even in the quiet, something is happening beneath the surface. Roots are deepening, lessons are forming. If you can learn to love through the seasons without expecting eternal sunshine, you will experience love as it truly is. Not a constant thrill, but a living, breathing rhythm. Look at the people who have loved the longest. Their secret isn't that they never disappointed each other. It's that they stopped expecting perfection. They replaced demands with understanding. They realized that love is not about agreement. It's about acceptance. When you expect love to fix you, it fails. When you expect love to never challenge you, it fails. When you expect love to stay frozen in its first form, it fails. But when you allow love to evolve, when you let it change shape as you both grow, it begins to teach you something far deeper than comfort. It teaches you freedom. Disappointment isn't a sign that love has died. It's a sign that illusion has. It means you're waking up from the fantasy that love is supposed to always make you happy. Love's true purpose isn't happiness, it's growth. And growth often feels like discomfort. So, when things don't go as you expected, when the person you love doesn't act the way you imagine, pause. Don't rush to say, "You failed me." Instead, ask yourself, what am I expecting them to heal in me? because often the disappointment we feel isn't from what they did. It's from the gap between our fantasy and reality. Love becomes stronger when it's freed from expectation. When you stop demanding that it makes you whole, you begin to experience wholeness within yourself. And from that wholeness, love stops being a need and becomes a gift. When love is a gift, it doesn't disappoint because it was never about what you could get. It was always about what you could give. We live in a world obsessed with permanence. People want things to last forever. Relationships, emotions, even feelings of happiness. But the truth is, nothing in life was ever meant to last. Everything is in motion, shifting, breathing, dying, being reborn again in another form. And love, perhaps more than anything else, is proof of that. We enter love thinking it's a destination, that once we arrive, we'll stay there forever. But love was never a place. It's a moment. It's the space between two heartbeats. It's the warmth in a glance, the silence that says everything words cannot. It was never supposed to be something you keep. It's something you feel, and feeling it deeply, even for a fleeting second, is more valuable than owning it for a lifetime. Think about it. You meet someone and suddenly the world shifts. Coffee tastes different. The city seems softer. Time slows down when they laugh, and you feel as if you've known them in another life. For a moment, everything makes sense. That's the presence of love. That's the magic of being completely here with another soul, unguarded. But then, slowly, the illusion of permanence creeps in. You begin to fear losing it. You start asking, will they always feel the same? Will they stay? And in that fear, you lose what made it beautiful in the first place, the presence, the living moment. You trade the joy of being for the anxiety of holding on. Most of our heartbreak doesn't come from losing love. It comes from trying to make it last beyond its nature, like trying to hold water in your fists. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. Love demands presence, not possession. It thrives when you let it flow, when you allow it to breathe. People say love fades, but that's not true. It transforms. It moves from passion to peace, from excitement to depth, from longing to understanding. And if you're awake enough, you can see that it never really leaves. It just changes form, like a wave returning to the ocean. Look at a sunset. You never beg the sun to stay. You just watch, in awe, knowing it will fade. Yet you don't grieve its departure, because you understand its rhythm. You know that beauty lies in its impermanence. The same is true for love. The tragedy isn't that it ends. It's that we refuse to be present while it's here. We spend so much time worrying about the ending that we miss the miracle unfolding before our eyes. Imagine two people sitting in silence, their hands brushing, their eyes meeting. There's no promise of forever, no grand declarations. Just the quiet understanding that right now, in this very breath, they are connected. That's love at its purest. It's not about what happens next. It's about this heartbeat, this laughter, this presence. But we are taught to measure love by duration. How long it lasted. How many anniversaries it survived. And so we dismiss the loves that were brief, the moments that came and went like the wind. Yet sometimes the shortest connections leave the deepest marks. Maybe it was a conversation with a stranger who understood your pain, or a fleeting romance that woke you up to your own capacity to feel. Those moments were real. They mattered. They shaped you. Presence over permanence means realizing that the value of love is not in how long it stays, but how fully it is lived. It means being brave enough to love without expecting guarantees, to dive in knowing it might end, to let people come and go without resentment, because everything that touches your heart leaves a piece of itself behind. When you start living this way, you stop clinging, you stop trying to freeze time, you start flowing with it. And suddenly, every encounter becomes sacred. Every smile, every hug, every goodbye. Each becomes a meditation on being alive. Love isn't a possession. It's a gift. And the beauty of a gift lies in its moment of giving. Once you understand that, you'll stop asking love to last forever. You'll just be grateful that it happened at all. Because the truth is, every person you've ever loved still lives within you. In your habits, in your laughter, in the way you see the world. So the next time you love someone, don't think about forever. Think about now. Breathe them in fully. Listen when they speak. Hold their gaze as if it's the last time you'll ever see it. Because one day it will be. And when that day comes, you won't feel empty. You'll feel full. Because you were there completely when it mattered most. And maybe that's the whole secret we keep running from. That love was never supposed to complete us. It was supposed to awaken us. Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every person who walked away was never a punishment. It was preparation. Preparation to meet yourself, to face the silence, to stand in front of the mirror and say, I am enough, even when no one else stays to say it with me. We chase love like it's oxygen, forgetting that the breath we've been searching for has always been within us. The beauty of life is that it keeps teaching us through loss. The people who left taught you how to stand. The moments that broke you taught you how to heal. And the silence that once terrified you became the sound of your own strength. You start realizing that love was never something someone could give or take. It was something you carried all along. And that realization, that quiet acceptance, is what sets you free. People spend their whole lives trying to find the one. But what if the one isn't a person? What if it's a state of being? That deep, unshakable peace that comes when you stop begging the world to love you back, when you stop performing to be seen, and instead start being. That's when life shifts. That's when you start radiating a kind of calm no storm can touch. Someone once said, "You don't find peace when life is easy. You find it when you stop resisting what is." And love works the same way. You don't find eternal love by making someone stay. You find it when you stop demanding permanence from the impermanent. When you finally accept that everything that comes is already on its way out, you stop clinging and start cherishing. You look at people not as things to own, but as souls passing through your story, leaving fingerprints on your heart, even if only for a chapter. Life will keep taking things away from you until you learn to let go willingly. It will keep breaking your heart until you stop asking it to stay unbroken. And then one day, you wake up lighter. You stop waiting for the right person, the right time, the right forever. You realize that love is not something to find, it's something to be. And once you become it, you start to see it everywhere. In the way sunlight hits your window, in a stranger's smile, in your own reflection, after surviving another night of doubt. People think strength means building walls, but real strength is staying open. Loving again, even after being shattered. Trusting again, even when logic tells you not to. The world will call you foolish for it, but those are the only ones who ever truly live. Because to love without armor, to stand naked before life and say, "Break me if you must, but I will keep feeling," that is the highest form of courage. One day, you'll look back and see that every disappointment in love was really love transforming you, shaping you, cleansing you of illusions. And you'll smile, not because it didn't hurt, but because it was worth it. You'll understand that love doesn't end. It evolves. It takes new forms, new faces, new meanings. It's in your art, your silence, your forgiveness, your growth. So don't mourn what ended. Celebrate what began inside you. Because of it, you became wiser, softer, deeper. You learned that losing someone isn't the same as losing love. Love stays. It lingers in your gestures, your laughter, your tears. It becomes who you are. And maybe the greatest love story is the one you live with yourself, the story of falling apart and rising again, of giving without demanding, of staying open in a world that keeps closing. So when someone asks you about love, you can finally say, "I've met it, I've lived it, I've become it." Because the truth is, love never leaves the one who learns to carry it within.